Welcome, future business leaders, to Managing the Future, the MIS podcast. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something really fundamental for modern business. Module 20, Computer Software and Buying a Computer. Now, this isn't just tech jargon. It's really about empowering you, our Dr. Sam Pack College of Business students, and honestly, any college student or professional interested in management, business operations, or IS to make smarter choices in this tech world. Our mission here is to help you connect these key ideas from management information systems to your actual career. And hey, before we get started, if you find this valuable, please do like, subscribe, follow, share, maybe leave a comment. It helps us grow the community. Just so you know, all the concepts we're discussing today are based on the great work in Connect Master, Management Information Systems by Richard Tedmon and H.Schuessler Wilhelm from McGraw Hill 2024. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. Any computer, your phone, your laptop, a big server, it boils down to two basic things, hardware and software. Hardware, that's the physical stuff, right? The parts you can actually touch.
Exactly. The keyboard, the screen, the processor, that's all hardware. But, without software, it's really just, a fancy metal box. Software is the big term for every instruction a computer follows, from the moment it boots up to playing games, browsing the web, doing complex business analysis, communication, everything. It's the software that makes the hardware useful, makes it productive. And for you as business students, understanding this is just critical. Software turns that metal box into a tool for, getting things done.
That's such a key distinction. Hardware is the body, software is the brain, maybe.
Yeah.
So let's peel back a layer then. What about system software? Where does that fit in?
Right. System software is sort of the stage manager. It provides the essential structure and control for the computer itself and all the things connected to it, like your printer or mouse. It's the underlying foundation. Primarily, this includes the operating system, sometimes called the platform, and also utility software, which helps maintain things.
Okay, the operating system, the OS or platform, that sounds like the big boss then. That's a good way to put it. The OS is definitely the master controller. It dictates what applications can even run on your device, and it manages all the core functions. Think about what it does. It gives you the interface, the clicks, the icons. It sets up and manages your devices. It monitors performance, keeps things running, gives you error messages, and troubleshooting options when something goes wrong. And crucially, it manages all the network stuff, which is vital for business today.
Okay, let's unpack the major computer platforms people actually encounter. Because choosing one isn't just personal preference, it can be a strategic career move.
Absolutely. First off, you've got Windows OS, Microsoft's baby. It runs on desktops, laptops, some phones, tablets. It's everywhere globally. Most businesses, government agencies, they run on Windows. It first came out way back in 1985. And, Windows 10 with Cortana is a recent major version many still use.
Right. The default for many corporate environments.
Exactly. Then you have Apple and macOS. Designed by Apple, obviously, for their phones, tablets, laptops. Macs are often the standard in creative fields, so photo editing, film work, graphic design. Those industries often lean heavily on Macs. macOS itself first launched back in 2001.
Okay, creative fields often prefer Mac. Got it. What about mobile?
Well, the big player there is Android OS. That's a Google product, actually built on Linux. It is the most popular OS for mobile devices globally. Pretty much any non-Apple phone or tablet is running Android. Chromebooks, too. Founded in 2003, Google bought it in 2005. It's constantly evolving.
So most of the world's smartphones and Apple's mobile OS.
That's iPhone OS, or iOS,
Right.
specifically for Apple's iPhone and iPad. Hugely popular, especially in the US. It's known for its integrated ecosystem. Apple apps like FaceTime, Siri, and they have a pretty strict review process for third-party apps in their store.
Right, the walled garden approach, some call it.
Kind of, yeah. Then there's a Linux OS. This one's interesting. It's open source. That means the code is free to use, modify, share. You might not see it on many everyday laptops, but it powers most servers, mainframes, supercomputers, even things like game consoles and embedded systems. And like I said, it's the foundation underneath Android.
Wow, so Linux is kind of the hidden workhorse of the internet and big computing.
Very much so. And distinct from all these individual device OESs, you have network operating systems, or NOS. These aren't for your personal machine. They coordinate multiple computers across a network. Businesses use them for network administration, managing users, security, shared files, Windows Server, UNIX are big examples.
Okay, that's a lot of platforms. So let's bring it back to the student listener. What does knowing all this mean for your career choices? How does this help a business student decide?
It's really about alignment. Your choice of OS, or at least familiarity with it, should ideally line up with where you want to work. If you're aiming for graphic design, photo, video, publishing, macOS is often the standard there. You'll likely use Macs professionally. But if you're going into general business, finance, science, engineering, education, government, Windows OS is probably your best bet. It's just so widespread in those sectors. And if you're leaning towards computer science, software design, that kind of thing, then Linux offers huge advantages with its flexibility and control. So thinking about your professional path now can really help guide your tech choices later.
Makes sense. So the OS is the foundation, the platform. But what about the tools we actually use, the programs, the applications that make these devices useful day to day?
Right. This is where it's practical for everyone. Let's talk programs. First, you have utility programs. Think of these as like the maintenance crew for your computer. They do specific jobs: disk cleanup, organizing files, searching, system backup, restore, that kind of thing. Both Windows and macOS have these built in.
Okay, essential housekeeping tools.
Exactly. Then there are things called applets, little applications. They usually do simpler tasks, often supporting bigger programs. You find a lot of them in the Windows control panel, for example, handling specific settings.
Gotcha. And the big ones, the software we use for work.
That's productivity software. These are designed to help you work efficiently. For individuals, it's Microsoft Word, Google Docs, maybe Quicken for personal finance. For businesses, it gets more specialized. QuickBooks for accounting, Sage for larger business management, HR systems, sales tools like Inside Sales Box. They help with all those core tasks. Writing documents, creating spreadsheets, making presentations, managing databases, creating graphics, even just grabbing screenshots.
And then there's the term everyone uses now, apps.
Right. Computer applications or apps are really just computer programs, sets of instructions for specific tasks. We use them on phones, tablets, computers, online. Some are free, some you pay for. It's just the modern term for software designed for end users.
This brings up a really practical point, especially for students working on group projects or businesses with teams. Compatibility. Can you use Word on a Mac? Can people work together easily?
That's a great question, and thankfully the answer is mostly yes these days. Many major applications like the Microsoft Office suite work perfectly fine on both Windows and macOS. That interchangeability is huge. And what's really changed the game for collaboration are tools like Google Docs or Microsoft 365's online versions. These let multiple people work on the same document at the same time from anywhere. You can see changes happen live. It makes group projects so much easier for students, and it's absolutely essential for businesses with remote teams. No more emailing slightly different versions back and forth.
Yeah, that real-time collaboration is a game changer. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Managing all this software. How do we keep our devices running well, avoid problems? What are the practical steps?
Good question. This is about maintaining your tools. First up is understanding software licensing. It's the legal agreement for using software. You'll see different types. The EULA, End User License Agreement, that's the long text you scroll through.
And click Agree without reading.
Exactly. There are also single user licenses, network licenses for multiple users, and site licenses for whole organizations, like a university.
Okay, so licensing sets the rules. What about getting software onto the device?
That's installing software. Simply putting the software or maybe hardware drivers onto your device so it works. You want to maximize productivity, right? Methods are pretty standard. On Windows or a Mac, you might download it from the internet or maybe use an old school optical disc. On mobile, it's even simpler. Android uses the Google Play Store, iPhone and iPad use the App Store. Pretty straightforward.
And taking it off, uninstalling.
Equally important. Uninstalling software means removing it properly, usually to free up hard drive space or if it's causing issues. The steps vary a bit. Windows 10, you usually go through Start Settings apps. On a Mac, you can often drag the app icon to the trash or use Launchpad's X. Android has an application manager in Settings. iPhone Pad, you just press and hold the icon till it wiggles, then tap the X.
Right. And the main control centers for managing settings and programs.
On Windows, that's the control panel. On macOS, it's System Preferences. These are your main dashboards for changing settings, managing tasks, installing and installing. Knowing your way around these is helpful.
But you shouldn't just uninstall anything, right?
Absolutely not. Big caution here. Be careful with key system programs. These are essential for your computer to even run. We're talking about the operating system itself, hardware drivers that let components talk to each other, maybe software the manufacturer installed for specific functions. Removing these can cause serious problems.
Okay, good warning. And for Mac users, you mentioned specific tools.
Yeah, two key ones are Finder and Launchpad. Finder is how you navigate all your files and folders like Windows Explorer. Launchpad is more like a grid of all your apps, making it easy to find and open them.
So getting a handle on software management isn't just about fixing problems. It's about keeping things running smoothly long term. For school, for work.
Precisely. It's about efficiency. Knowing how to properly install, license, and uninstall software, and using tools like Control Panel or System Preferences effectively, it helps prevent slowdowns, crashes, and keeps your device working well for longer. It means you have the tools you need when you need them, which directly impacts your productivity as a student and later as a professional.
Okay, this has been super helpful. Let's wrap up with maybe the biggest decision many students face, buying a computer. Whether it's for classes now or looking ahead to a career, how do we make smart choices?
Yeah, this is a big one. It really comes down to three things: what type of device, what you'll use it for, and realistically, your budget. Let's break down some key factors for business students.
Okay, what's first?
Memory, or RAM. This is your computer's short-term workspace. The more things you do at once multitasking, the more RAM you generally need. Laptops and desktops usually have between 4 gigabits and maybe 16 gigabits. New smartphones, maybe 1 gigabit to 4 gigabits. For business use, running multiple apps, maybe complex spreadsheets, I'd aim for at least 8 gigabits in a laptop, maybe more if you can.
Okay, RAM for multitasking. What about long-term storage?
That's your storage needs the hard drive capacity, where all your files, programs, photos live. Laptops often have 500 gigabit to 1 TB. Tablets, much less, maybe 16 gigabit up to 256 gigabit. But here's a key point. Solid-state drives, SSDs, versus traditional hard drives. SSDs are typically smaller capacity for the same price, but they are much faster and use less power.
Faster how?
Booting up takes seconds instead of minutes. Apps load quicker. It just feels snappier. For productivity, especially under deadlines, that speed boost from an SSD can be huge. And remember, you can always use cloud storage or flash drives to add more space if needed.
Right, SSDs for speed. What about the screen?
Screen considerations matter too. Size. Bigger screens are better for having multiple windows open, watching videos, editing, but they make the laptop less portable. So there's a trade-off. Resolution. That's the number of pixels. More pixels mean a sharper, clearer image, which is great for detailed work. And some people like touchscreens, especially for tablets or 2-in-1 laptops. It depends on how you like to work.
Okay, screen size, clarity, touch. What about those disk drives? Do we still need them?
Optical drives, the things that read CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays. Fewer and fewer laptops include them now, especially thin ones or those with SSDs because they add bulk. If you still need to use disks regularly, you might look for a model with one built in. But if not, you can always buy an external one that plugs in via USB pretty cheaply if you need it occasionally.
Makes sense.
Yeah?
Any other quick factors to keep in mind?
Yeah, a few others. The CPU, the processor, that's the main brain, faster is generally better for demanding tasks. A dedicated graphics card if you do heavy visual work. Battery life is huge for portability. Also, check the number and type of USB ports. If it has an HDMI port for connecting to projectors or monitors, maybe an SD card slot if you use cameras, think about what you'll need to connect.
Okay, lots to consider. So, final advice for a student listener trying to balance current needs with future career possibilities.
It's about thinking slightly ahead. What you need for classes right now might be different from what you need in your first job, or even 5 years into your career. Maybe that ultralight laptop is perfect for campus now, but if you're going into data analysis, you might soon need more power, more RAM, a bigger screen. So try to anticipate your near future needs as well. Consider both your immediate requirements and where you see yourself heading professionally. That helps ensure the computer you buy today will still be a valuable tool tomorrow.
That's fantastic advice. And that wraps up our deep dive today on computer software and making smart hardware choices. We covered a lot from the basics of hardware and software, through operating systems, apps, managing it all, and finally, selecting the right machine. Now we've got a question for you, our listener. Thinking about everything we discussed, software types, OS choices, hardware specs, what's one specific software application or hardware feature you use every day that you now realize is really critically important for your chosen business field, and why? Let us know in the comments. A big thank you for tuning in to Managing the Future, the MIS podcast. Please do like, subscribe, follow, share, and comment to keep the conversation going. Remember, our discussion today drew from Richard Tedmon and H.Schuessler Wilhelm's Connect Master, Management Information Systems, published by McGraw Hill 2024. Until next time, keep learning, keep innovating, and keep managing your future.